Right. Hello. I'm filming the introduction because I'm gonna end up filming this video in a few parts because nobody can leave me alone for more than 2 minutes at a time. I'm doing a bit. It's nice today. I've got my dress on. So, if you're new here, my name's Victoria. I'm a mum of 5 in the UK. We'll get the spiel out of the way first. On this channel I do home education, homemaking, low message just popped up, low income living and occasional charity shop haul. My large family mum unfiltered video diary is now on Patreon. I'll link that below if you want to support me. Right, so this video is filmed in May, but you won't see it till July. My Patreon videos and the gardening collab are filmed in real time, but these type of videos are filmed a few weeks ahead, and I am trying to press on and do as many videos ahead as I can because the court case comes up in July.
Fun.
What's up, darling?
Fun. Fun. Fun.
You want to go have fun?
Yes, I like.
Oh, hang on. Do you see what I mean? But I can't do a sit down video because, you know, the only time I could do a sit down video is first thing in the morning and when I look like hell, and believe me, you don't want to see that. Although I look like hell at the minute, that's because it's towards the end of the day. You have to get me around dinner time for me to look acceptable. So, what's happening now? The third time lucky on this introduction. If something goes wrong this time, I'm giving up on this introduction. All right.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, tied up. Thank you. So, what it was, I kind of toyed with the idea of linking the channel and mentioning the channel that this comes from, but because that video would have been out for weeks by the time you see this, and also, in general, I like this woman, so I'm going to say a few things against what she said, and I don't want it to look like I'm aggravating an argument or I'm putting a channel down or anything like that. So I've decided I'm not going to link the channel this is from, even if that makes it look like I'm stealing content. What happened was, there's this homeschool mum from America. We call it homeschool over there, don't they? It's home education here. Mum, I think she's a mum 8, mum 9, something like that, I can't remember. Mum and many, anyway. And a bit older than me, loads and loads of homeschool experience. But she gave 5 pieces of advice that she reckons homeschool influencers, and she said influencers like it was a bad thing, even though technically she's an influencer. And she was saying why these 5 pieces of advice were rubbish, or they were harmful, or there was poison. She said one of them was poison. And I'm just going to tell you what the advice was, roughly what she said, because I'm not going to, completely slag her off. And although I do think that she didn't mind slagging them off, and she seemed to think, if the advice didn't work for her, it can't work for anybody. If the advice didn't work for her, it must be poison. And then I'm going to tell you what I think. But before I get into it, I'll just say that if I don't agree with a piece of advice, or if I've tried it and it doesn't work for me, doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. The whole point of home education is that it's tailor-made for you, your family, your kids, your lifestyle, your circumstances. So if I say, that won't work, I don't agree with that, I might be talking rubbish when it comes to you. So I'm going to go through it. The 5 pieces of advice. She says it was poisonous and toxic and harmful and rubbish. I'll tell you what she says, I'll tell you what I say. So there you go. Right, I'm hoping, I haven't done my hair yet. This is trying to get the video filmed before I clean up. I'm not uploading while I clean up, and then getting the kids ready to go out type video. But I'm hoping I'll be able to film it and it won't be as chaotic as the introduction. So, these are the 5 things. I re-watched it and did notes so I don't mess it up. I'm not gonna, like I say, I'm not gonna say the channel because in generally I like her, but her attitude's so Like, she kept calling it lies. And then I've noticed what she does is, the lie that she says the influencers say, I think she's made up herself. It's just how she's took something, and then she says what they actually said. And also I've noticed on her channel she's got things like unschooling is neglectful. Now, unschooling's not for me. We don't unschool. But I wouldn't go as far as saying it's neglectful. I see lots of other families where it works. So I think I understand her saying things from her point of view, or things that are, you know, her opinions. But I also think she maybe needs educating on the fact that not everything works the same for the same people. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, the first one, according to her, influencer lie number 1 is you don't need to be the teacher, just a facilitator. And then she goes on to say that the influencers have actually said kids will learn naturally, right? She calls it laziness dressed up in her Instagram filter. And then she goes on to tell a story about how that doesn't work, because she set her kids up on an online maths curriculum where it's a teacher online and they test them and grade them online. So she left the kids to it thinking maths is sorted, and she completely checked out. She forgot to check how they were getting on with maths, or if they were even doing the maths, and that. And then when she realised, she wasted a lot of time doing that. When she realised that they weren't learning anything and they weren't going anywhere forward with it, that's when she switched back to the old way of her teaching them, her checking what they're doing, her checking the tests. Now, I think she's just took this wrong. Kids learning naturally and being a facilitator is not the same as checking out. It's not the same as handing it to somebody else and just not bothering to do it with them and not bothering to check it with them. That's not learning that. When influencers say, or other homeschool parents say kids learn naturally, what they mean is kids have a natural curiosity. They're always learning anyway naturally as they're living through life. And you can facilitate what they want to learn, as in, you know, if they're really interested in something, that's when you sort of steer them towards that and find the things relevant towards that they can learn, that's really picking up on their interest. And as they're doing that, they're learning naturally because they're naturally interested in that subject. That's what that means. It doesn't mean hook them up to a computer, they'll learn anyway and not checking in. So I don't think she even understood what's being said there. So that one I don't get. Right, the second one, which she called an influencer lie. She said structure equals oppression. I have never, ever, ever, ever heard a homeschool influencer say structure equals oppression, ever. Again, I think she's just, that's how she's took it, because underneath she says that they say, the so-called influencers, even though she's an influencer herself, say let kids sleep in, work in pyjamas, go with the flow, let them learn when they feel like it. I've heard that. Go with the flow. Doesn't matter if you're doing it in pyjamas, learn when you feel like it. And she said that kind of household where they're working in the pyjamas, they're sleeping in, the kids are behind, and they're always behind, and the mums are always burnt out in homes like this. Not true. She says kids thrive in and things are peaceful and productive when there's a routine. And she said that they start early, they're more productive, they finish early. Well, I agree with what she's saying on a level, because she's got a lot of kids. I haven't got as many as her, but I've got a lot of kids. And I've found, and this isn't going to be the same for all large families, some will be different, but I've found that the more kids I've had and the more I've got to do, and the more you've got to make sure everybody's had the, a bit of structure is very helpful when you've got a lot of kids. And if you're the sort of person who gets overwhelmed easy, or you've just got a lot of other things going on, a bit of structure, a bit of the kids knowing what's expected of them goes a long way. So I agree with her that, a bit of structure can help. But I don't agree with the houses that don't have a lot of structure are just, you know, the kids are behind, the mum's burnt out, because she would probably look at everybody's different, she would probably look at my house and think my house is wildly unstructured compared to hers, but we've got our own sort of flow going on. I know what's going on, even though it doesn't look structured to her. And I think some people just thrive better in an unstructured, let's see how we go sort of environment. And also, if you've got little kids, they don't need a lot of structure. I mean, there's things like bedtime, meal times, but as far as, right, this is when we sit down and do our reading now, this is when we I mean, you know, I think a lot of flexibility goes a long way, personally, and I've never heard anybody say structure equals oppression. I don't know where she's got that from. I think she's just being arsey for sake of it. Right, and this next one, she says it's downright dangerous what they say about grades and exams, but I want you to bear in mind that she is older than me, so she's probably more old school, and also she's American, and I don't know the ins and outs of the legal situation state per state, but I know that some states in America require standardised testing, standardised exams for home education, for homeschool, and some don't. So if she's in a state that requires standardised testing, then you probably, you know, or you're not allowed to do it, then she probably would be a bit more on it with exams, as I would be, because obviously you need them to pass them so you can carry on doing it. But I don't know that's the case. But anyway, she said that influencers say grades and testing are harmful. Don't test, don't grade, it kills the love of learning. I have heard that said. And then, you know, I sometimes I'm like, she says, how do you know what they've learned? And kids don't learn without feedback. Well, one, how do you know what they've learned? If you're teaching it to them and you're with them all day, every day, and you're talking to them, you know what they've learned. If you don't know what they've learned, just speak to them and see their work and stuff. You don't need a test for that. And two, kids don't learn without feedback. On some things, no. On some things, yes. I mean, if they're continuously spelling a word wrong, unless you say to them that word's spelt wrong, you need to do it this way, they're going to continue to spell that word wrong. But I don't believe you need a test or an exam to give your kid feedback. Because again, if you're teaching them every day and you're talking to them every day and you're looking at the work every day, you don't need a test to say, I say, that's not how you spell weird. Alright, the fourth one, which she labelled as a more damaging lie than the last one. One that makes mums feel bad just for being tired. She says influencers say you should never feel burnt out. I've never heard that. I've never ever heard that. If anything, influencers say here's ways to avoid being burnt out, or this is what to do when you're burnt out, or it's all right if you're burnt out, you're doing your best. I've never ever ever heard an influencer say where is it, you should never feel burnt out. You should do what you can to avoid it, don't get me wrong. You should do what you can to not feel burnt out, but I've never ever heard anybody say you shouldn't. But that's just how she's took it. What she says the influencers actually said was, if homeschooling feels hard, you're doing it wrong. I have heard that. Not very often though. That's like a really random one that you occasionally hear. If homeschooling feels hard, you're doing it wrong. And she said, and you won't believe this, she said it's meant to be hard. It's a good sign. It means you're taking it seriously. And it can mean you need more structure. I agree that it can mean you need something else. If you are burnt out, it can mean you need something else. It can mean you need more structure. It can mean you need to let a few things go. It can mean that changes need to be made. Yeah, you shouldn't be in a constant state of burnout. That's not sustainable. It's not good for you. It's not good for your kids. But it's meant to be hard, it's a good sign, it means you take it seriously. I want to say the rubbish. Do you know what? Being a parent is hard. Being a mother is hard. Because it's the most important job in the world. And because it means a lot to you. But, as in it's meant to be hard, it's a good sign if it's hard. That's rubbish. This is your life. You need to do what you need to do for both you and your children, that it's the smoothest ride as possible. And I'm not talking being lazy, I'm not talking checking out, I'm not talking not bothering to parent them at all because it's hard. What I mean is that if homeschooling is so hard that you are constantly burnt out, you're not enjoying it at all, it's making your life a living hell, you need to change it or it's not for you. It shouldn't be a drag. It shouldn't be where you wake up in the morning you're thinking, oh my God. No. And if anybody tells you it is meant to be hard and like you're not taking it seriously enough if it's not hard, that is complete rubbish, absolute rubbish. And I'm not going to say any more on that point because that's the only one that makes me want to lose my temper, and that's awful. Right, the last one. Number 5. Mums are chasing perfection and quitting when they don't feel good enough. Because the influencers say if it's not perfect, you're doing it wrong. I've never heard an influencer say that either, ever. Again, that's just how she's took it. She says it's because you see like all these perfect images on Instagram, you know, like sourdough on the side and perfect Montessori trays, and you know, mother and daughter frolicking through the field and their linen dresses and all this lot. Well, and she says you don't need any of that, and I do agree with her on that. You don't need any of that. A lot of what you see on Instagram is the highlight reel, or it's, you know, it's just been put on there because it's beautiful. And I agree with her that, you know, you see the perfect things on Instagram, you're not going to see the meltdowns, you're not going to see the mess, you're not going to see when mum thinks, am I doing the right thing, all that lot. But I also think that we sometimes look at Instagram for a bit of inspiration, you know, a bit of how can I make this better. So that's maybe the one point I agree on her on, but I don't think any of these people are saying if it's not perfect, you're doing it wrong. And it's hard not to sometimes, but if you're judging your homeschool, home education, family, motherhood, whatever, on an Instagram reel that doesn't look real, then you need to get your head a wobble. So yeah, they're the 5 lies. But to me, actually, because she's just sort of took things how she wants to take them and then said things I've never heard, I think she's once lying. If you really, really want to know where the original video come from, tell me so you can. But I don't want to say, because I don't want anybody to go over and give a hate, because we're all entitled to our opinions, aren't we? But I just wanted to make this video because I think I remember what it was like to be somebody who's looking into home education or a new home ed mum, and you're looking for that voice, you're looking for somebody to tell you how to go on. What's right, what's wrong, how do I start this, am I doing the right thing? And you come across a video like that first, I just think it's sending all the wrong messages and telling you all the wrong things. And like I said before, it's got little to no understanding of different people and different people's circumstances, and things work different for other people. I genuinely think that if you wanted a one-size-fits-all education, you'd have your kids in mainstream school. Home education is so you can do things your way for your kids. And, you know, you don't have to agree with me. If you think everything I've said is complete rubbish, that's fine, because I'm working from my perspective with my family, you're working from your perspective with your family, and that's the beauty of home education. You don't have to be the same as everybody else or agreeing with anybody else. But the one that really naffed me off, the one that I will, you know, I'll die on that hill, is the one that home education's meant to be hard, and if it's not hard, you're not taking it seriously enough. That's complete bollocks. But died on that hill. Right. So see you next time, my loves.